My name is Nora Vance. I am 35 years old, and for 15 years my parents told our whole town I flunked out of engineering school because I got pregnant and could not handle real work. They said it at church dinners. They said it at job sites. They said it to my cousins like a warning label. Do not end up like Nora. Do not waste a scholarship. Do not embarrass the family name. Last Thursday at 6:14 p.m., my mother saw me on Channel 9 wearing a white City hard hat, standing in front of the Maple Street overpass with police tape behind me. The words under my face said, Nora Vance, P.E., acting chief bridge engineer. My father dropped his fork at my brother's anniversary dinner because behind me was the same bridge my brother's concrete company had signed off as safe 3 days earlier. And the tablet in my hand had the inspection log, the lab report, the drone footage, and one copied page from a college project they all claimed I never finished. If someone in your family has ever turned one hard choice into a label, tell me in the comments what you would have done at that table. Because before that night was over, the city attorney, a materials lab director, a school transportation supervisor, 2 inspectors, and a TV reporter all learned the same thing my family had spent 15 years denying. I did not drop out. I became the person who stopped my brother's bad bridge report from putting 38 kids on a cracked span. The day started at 5:42 a.m. with a text from my deputy inspector, Phil Ramos. Maple Street expansion joint reading jumped overnight. Need eyes before school traffic. I was already awake. I had been awake since 4:30 because my daughter, Ava, had a physics exam and wanted me to check her bridge load practice problems before breakfast. That is normal in our house. Coffee, oatmeal, and bending moments before sunrise. Ava was 15. She had my same stubborn chin and her own quiet way of solving problems. She was the reason my parents erased me. She was also the reason I never let their version of me become true. I stood in the kitchen in my city field jacket, reading Phil's text while Ava leaned over graph paper. Bad, she asked. Bad enough to make me go look before the buses roll. Maple Street. Yes. She looked up. That is by St. Agnes. I know. St. Agnes was the private school my parents loved because my brother Trevor's sons went there. It was also the school bus route that crossed Maple Street at 7:18 every morning. The overpass was not huge. 2 lanes, 142 feet long, built in 1978, repaired in sections over 12 years by whoever won the lowest bid. But a small bridge can still fail in a big way if enough people pretend small cracks are cosmetic. I put Ava's toast on a napkin and grabbed my keys. Do you need me to come? She asked. No, Ms. Carter is picking you up in 20 minutes. Text me when you get to school. She nodded. Then she said what she always said when I left for a field call. Check the bolts. I smiled, even though my stomach had tightened. Always. At 6:11 a.m., I parked under the east approach of the Maple Street overpass. Phil was already there in an orange vest with a flashlight, a tablet, and the face he made when the numbers did not line up. Show me, I said. He took me to the north girder under the expansion joint. Water was dripping through a seam that should have been sealed after the emergency patch. Vance Concrete and Restoration had done that patch on Monday. My brother's company. I did not choose them. The city procurement office used a standing emergency vendor list. My father had started Vance Concrete when I was 9. Trevor ran it now. I had recused myself from every selection discussion involving their firm because I knew how small towns work. But recusal did not mean blindness. Phil pointed his flashlight up. The bearing plate under the joint had a split line across one corner, not a surface scratch, a through crack. Beside it, the fresh grout pad had already separated from the steel. Truck vibration, I asked. Maybe, but look at the strain sticker. He held up the tablet. The sensor reading had been stable Tuesday night. Then it rose Wednesday at 11:36 p.m., jumped again at 2:12 a.m., and crossed the alert threshold at 5:09. Who signed the Monday repair acceptance? Phil's jaw moved. Temporary acceptance came from Mason in Public Works. Final safety memo came from Vance Concrete yesterday afternoon. Trevor, stamped by their project engineer, uploaded through their portal. I said nothing for a few seconds. There are moments in field work when emotion has to stand outside the barricade. You can feel it later. You can be angry later. Under a bridge with school buses coming, you count, measure, document, and act. Close the right lane now, I said. I want traffic control on both approaches. Call dispatch and reroute St. Agnes buses off Maple. Get me Mason's acceptance packet, the Vance upload, and the last 6 months of sensor data. Phil was already typing. Full closure. Give me 10 minutes. I climbed the east abutment stairs and stood at deck level. Cars rolled over the patch, one after another. The bridge gave a low metal sound under a delivery truck. Not dramatic, not movie loud, just wrong. I had heard that sound twice before in my career. Both times, the bridge had been closed within the hour. At 6:31, the first St. Agnes bus turned onto Maple. I stepped into the lane and raised my hand. The driver braked hard, leaned out the window, and frowned. Problem. City engineering. Turn around at Cedar. Maple is closed to buses until further notice. Kids are going to be late. Late is fine. He looked at my hard hat, then at the police cruiser pulling up behind me, and nodded. That bus had 38 students on it. I counted the faces in the windows because I knew what people would say later. They would say I overreacted. They would say I made my brother look bad. They would say I brought family problems to work. But numbers matter more than family feelings. At 6:44, I ordered the full closure. By 7:10, Maple Street was blocked in both directions. By 7:28, the city's communications office had posted a traffic alert. By 7:46, Trevor called my cell. I let it go to voicemail. He called again. Then my father called. Then my mother. Then Trevor texted. You better not be doing what I think you're doing. I photographed the cracked plate, uploaded it to the city inspection record, and kept working. At 8:03, my boss, city engineer Dale Mercer, joined me on site. Dale was 63, 3 months from retirement, and had spent 38 years learning how a bridge lies before it tells the truth. He looked at the plate, the grout separation, the strain chart, and the water line. Full closure was right, he said. I need authority for cores and non-destructive testing. You have it. And procurement needs to freeze payment on the Monday patch until we review the file. Dale looked at me. Vance Concrete. Yes. You okay? No, but that is not relevant. He nodded once. Good answer. The first proof beat came at 8:31. Mason from Public Works sent the Monday acceptance packet. It had 14 photos, a crew sign-in sheet, and a 2-page memo saying the bearing grout was sound, the joint was sealed, and the bridge could remain open under normal load. The memo was stamped by a professional engineer named Aaron Pike. I knew Aaron. He was a real engineer. He was cautious. He had never used sloppy language in a file. But the memo had a phrase that made me stop. No material delamination was observed in the east bearing pocket. That phrase was too clean, too textbook, too familiar. I had written almost the same sentence in a senior capstone report in 2010. Before I had Ava, before my parents cut me off, before the town learned a story about me that was easier to repeat than verify. I opened the attached PDF properties. Author, T. Vance. Created, Monday 11:42 p.m. Modified, Tuesday 12:03 a.m. Stamped, Wednesday 4:18 p.m. That was not proof of fraud by itself. Plenty of project managers prepare reports for engineers to review, but something in my chest went cold. "Phil," I said, "call Aaron Pike, not Trevor, not Vance office, Aaron's direct number." Phil made the call. At 8:52, he put it on speaker. Aaron sounded like he had just woken up. "I am in Denver," he said. "Conference. I have not signed anything for Maple Street this week." Phil looked at me. "Your stamp is on a safety memo uploaded yesterday," I said. Silence. Then Aaron said, "Send it now." The second proof beat came 11 minutes later. Aaron emailed from his professional account. "That is my stamp image. That is not my signature authorization. I did not inspect Maple Street, and I did not approve that report." I forwarded it to Dale, procurement, legal, and the city records clerk. No commentary, just the memo, the metadata, and Aaron's denial. Quiet facts move faster when you do not decorate them. At 9:20, Trevor finally left a voicemail. "Nora, this is ridiculous. We patched what Mason asked us to patch. You're embarrassing Dad and making the company look crooked over a hairline crack. Family does not turn a work issue into a public scene. Call me." Family does not turn a work issue into a public scene. That sentence would come back 4 times that day. It sounded reasonable if you ignored the cracked plate under 38 children. At 9:36, my mother texted, "Your brother has employees depending on him. Do not punish everyone because you still resent us." I did not answer. The materials lab arrived at 10:10. They took 2 cores from the grout pad and used dye penetrant on the exposed steel. By 11:05, the lab tech, Priya Desai, called me over. "You need to see this before we bag it." The core had a dry seam through the middle. The grout had not bonded to the existing surface. Someone had poured patch material over dust, rust, and moisture, then photographed the smooth top. Cosmetic on top, rotten under it. That was a familiar family style. Priya measured the break plane. This was never prepared correctly. Could it separate in 3 days from traffic alone? Not like this. Surface prep was skipped or rushed. She tagged the core, sealed it, and wrote the chain of custody number on the bag. That was the third proof beat, a physical sample with custody records. At 11:27, the city communications director, Aaron Wu, called. "Channel 9 has a traffic crew asking why Maple is still closed. Tell them structural concern, under active review. They want an interview." "No. Nora. No interview until I know whether this is a repair defect, a forged approval, or both." She went quiet. "Both. Possibly. Do I need to loop the city attorney?" "Already did." At noon, I sat in my city truck and ate half a granola bar while the first wave of family messages hit my phone. "My Aunt Linda, why are police at Maple Street? Trevor says you are trying to ruin him." "My cousin Bate, is this about old family stuff?" "My father, call me now. This is your father." "My mother, we can discuss this privately tonight. Do not go to reporters." I looked at the messages and thought about the first time they made my life private only when it protected them. In May 2010, I was 20 years old, 9 weeks pregnant, and sitting at the same kitchen table where my father spread out a tuition bill, a church adoption brochure, and my class schedule like they were pieces in a negotiation. My mother wore her pearl earrings. That is how I knew she had prepared for a serious conversation. She always wore pearls when she wanted to look calm while cutting someone open with words. "You are not keeping this baby," she said. I put both hands under the table because they were shaking. "I am." My father slid the tuition bill toward me. "Then you are not doing it with our money." "My scholarship covers most of it." "Most is not all." "I can work." My mother laughed once. "You cannot work, study civil engineering, and raise an infant alone." "I can try." Trying is what people say before they fail. My brother Trevor was 23 then, already working for Dad's company, already treated like he had inherited responsibility from birth. He leaned in the kitchen doorway with his arms crossed. "She will be back in 6 months," he said. "Let her learn." My mother looked at me with a kind of practiced pity. "There is a couple through St. Mark's, good people. They cannot have children. This could be handled quietly. You can finish school. No one needs to know." Her name is Ava. Do not name a problem. That sentence did something permanent inside me. I stood up. She is not a problem. My father tapped the table once. "Sit down." "No. If you walk out and keep this child, you are choosing a hard life over a real future. Then I will build both." Trevor laughed under his breath. "Build both. Listen to the engineer." I looked at him. Yes, listen to her. My father tore the tuition check in half, not because the money mattered more than the symbol, because he wanted me to watch support become paper trash. "When you drop out," he said, "do not come back here asking us to fix it." "I am not dropping out." My mother said, "Everyone drops something when they make a choice like this." She was right about that. I dropped their approval. I dropped their money. I dropped the last version of myself that still believed my parents would choose me if the situation got serious enough. 2 weeks later, I moved into a basement apartment 19 miles from campus. It smelled like laundry soap and wet concrete. I worked mornings at a materials testing office, evenings in the library, weekends doing CAD cleanup for a surveyor who paid cash because he hated payroll forms. Ava was born in December 2010, during finals week. I took a soil mechanics exam 11 days later, with stitches still pulling when I sat down. I passed with an 88. That spring, my cousin sent me a screenshot from a family group chat. "Mom said Nora flunked out." Another cousin replied, "Pregnant too, right?" Trevor wrote, "Some people are not built for pressure." My mother did not correct him. My father wrote, "We are moving forward as a family." I saved the screenshot in a folder called Proof. At the time, I did not know why. I was not planning revenge. I was trying to keep a baby alive, keep grades above scholarship minimum, and keep my car from dying in the campus lot. But I was already becoming a records person. The truth feels less lonely when it has a timestamp. I graduated in 2012 with a civil engineering degree and a 3.7 GPA. Ava was 18 months old and slept through half the ceremony in a stroller. My parents were not there. Trevor was not there. No one from my family was there except my grandmother June, who sat in the back with a tissue in one hand and a little orange plastic hard hat in the other. She had bought it at a hardware store for Ava. "Every engineer needs her first crew," Grandma June said. I still had that hard hat on a shelf above my desk. I passed the Fundamentals of Engineering exam the next year. I worked 6 years under licensed bridge engineers. I inspected culverts in rain, calculated girder loads at midnight, wrote repair memos in plain English, because my first mentor said, "If a mayor cannot understand your warning, you have not warned anybody." I passed the professional engineer exam when Ava was 8. The state lookup showed my license number in black text. Nora Vance, PE Civil. I sent no announcement. I posted nothing. My family kept telling people I had dropped out. By then, the lie had become useful to them. My mother used it at church women's breakfasts as a warning about modern girls. My father used it with young employees when they complained about long hours. Trevor used it whenever he wanted to sound like the responsible child. Dad had one kid who stayed and one who ran, he told a supplier once. The supplier repeated it to me 4 years later when I was reviewing a sidewalk collapse file. He did not know who I was. That was the part people do not understand. Silence is not always weakness. Sometimes silence is what you choose when correcting the lie would drag you back into a room you already survived. I had Ava, I had work. I had my license. I had a small rented house with a dining table covered in math homework, utility bills, and bridge drawings. I did not need the Vance family to agree that my life existed. Then Maple Street cracked. At 12:42 p.m., the fourth proof beat arrived through a city records clerk named Mona, who had a gift for finding old attachments. She called me and said, "Nora, the Vance upload includes a background technical appendix. You need to open page 17. I opened it on my tablet. Page 17 showed a diagram of a bearing pocket repair. The title block had been cropped off, but the drawing style was mine. The line weights, the call-out boxes, the note order, I knew it before I zoomed in. In the bottom right corner, half cut off, were the letters NEV. My initials. It was from my senior capstone project. I had designed a pedestrian bridge repair plan using sample data. It had never been built. It was not a certified field method. It was an academic exercise from 2012. Trevor's company had used it to make their emergency repair packet look engineered. I sat very still. Phil looked through the windshield at me. "Bad. Very. Yours." "Mine from college." He swore quietly. I forwarded the appendix to Dale and the city attorney with one sentence. "Technical appendix appears to contain copied academic material from my 2012 senior capstone and does not match existing Maple Street field conditions." At 1:15, Dale called me into the mobile command trailer. City Attorney Kate Lynn was on speaker. So was procurement, risk management, and Aaron from communications. Kate spoke first. "Nora, because your family owns Vance Concrete, I need to ask this plainly. Can you continue as technical lead, or do we need outside engineering control?" "Bring an outside review," I said. "Today." That was not my question. "I know, bring it anyway. I can continue field stabilization, but an independent bridge engineer should review my closure and the Vance file." Dale smiled a little. "Already called Harlan and Reed. Their bridge principal is driving in." Kate said, "Good. Also, Channel 9 has filed a public records request for the closure order and repair contract." Aaron sighed, "And they have a helicopter." I looked through the trailer window. Above Maple Street, a news helicopter circled once, small and loud against the gray sky. My phone buzzed again. "Trevor, family does not turn a work issue into a public scene." I typed one reply. "The bridge is closed because the records and field conditions require closure. Do not contact me about this again." Then I blocked him for the day. At 2:04, Harlan and Reed's bridge principal, Dr. Samuel Acaffer, arrived in a navy raincoat with a laser scanner and no patience for politics. He reviewed the crack, the cores, the strain data, the Vance memo, Aaron Pike's denial, and my closure order. At 2:49, he said, "Your closure is correct. This span should not carry live traffic until shored. Temporary supports. Tonight if procurement moves fast. Full repair later. The emergency patch was not just inadequate, it concealed the condition." That sentence mattered. Concealed the condition. Not missed, not misunderstood, concealed. At 3:10, the city manager authorized temporary shoring and an emergency review of the Vance contract. At 3:28, Channel 9 pushed a breaking traffic update. Maple Street overpass closed indefinitely after structural concern. City reviewing recent repair. My family's anniversary dinner was scheduled for 5:30 at Rosewood Grill. Trevor and his wife were celebrating 10 years. My parents had invited 40 people. I knew because my Aunt Linda had texted the invitation to me by mistake 2 months earlier, then followed with, "Sorry, wrong Nora." There was no other Nora. At 4:05, Aaron came to the bridge and said, "We need a statement before the evening broadcast." Dale can give it. Dale is at council briefing. The mayor wants the technical lead. The technical lead has a conflict. The technical lead also closed the bridge before any incident, has an outside engineer confirming the closure, and can explain this without causing panic. I looked at the police tape. The school buses rerouted 3 blocks away, the lab bags lined on a folding table, and the cracked plate marked in yellow paint. I thought about Ava watching me leave that morning. Check the bolts. Fine, I said. No family details. Of course. At 5:36, I stood in front of Channel 9's camera with a white hard hat, rain on my jacket, and a city microphone clipped to my collar. The reporter, Simone Grant, asked the first question. Engineer Vance, why did the city close Maple Street so suddenly this morning? Our sensors showed movement overnight at the East Expansion joint. Field inspection found cracking and separation at a bearing repair. We closed the bridge before school and commuter traffic increased. Was the public in danger? The closure happened before the bridge reached a condition we would consider acceptable for live traffic. The point of inspection is to act before people are hurt. A repair was completed here earlier this week. Is that repair under investigation? The repair file is under review by the city attorney, procurement, and an independent bridge consultant. I cannot discuss personnel or vendor details right now. Can you tell viewers your role? I am Nora Vance, licensed professional engineer and acting chief bridge engineer for the city. I issued this morning's closure order. She paused for half a beat. I later learned that was the exact moment my mother looked up at the television mounted over the private dining room at Rosewood Grill. 40 people were eating salad. Trevor was holding a glass of iced tea. My father was telling a concrete supplier that the Maple closure was probably political. Then my face filled the screen. Nora Vance, PE, acting chief bridge engineer. My mother said, that is not possible. My cousin Bate said, Aunt Carol, that's Nora. My father said, turn it up. And Channel 9 did the one thing my family had never done. They read the public record. Simone asked, Engineer Vance, city records show you hold a state civil engineering license and have led 41 bridge inspections since 2021. Is Maple Street one of your highest-risk closures? It is one of the fastest decisions we have made, because the school route and repair history required immediate action. That lower third stayed under my face for 47 seconds. At Rosewood Grill, according to 3 separate cousins who later sent me the same story, nobody spoke. Then Trevor stood up so fast his chair hit the wall. My mother whispered she was supposed to have dropped out. My grandmother June was not there. She had died 2 years earlier. I was grateful for that and sorry for it at the same time. Because she was the only one who would have said, no, you just stopped asking. At 6:22, my phone lit up with messages from numbers I had not seen in years. Is that you? Are you an engineer? Did you close Trevor's bridge? Did your parents know? My father called 5 times. My mother called 8. Trevor used his wife's phone after realizing I had blocked him. I did not answer. I was in the command trailer with the city attorney, Dr. Ackhaffer, Dale, Aaron, and procurement because the Vance file had just produced the midpoint turn. It was bigger than a bad patch. Mona found an earlier draft of the repair proposal submitted 9 months before, when Vance Concrete had tried to get on the emergency vendor list. The draft included a section called Staff Capacity and Technical Oversight. Under that heading was my name. Nora Vance, PE Consultant Reviewer, former Vance family trainee. My license number was listed. I had never consulted for Vance Concrete. I had never reviewed their work. I had never given them permission to use my name or license in any capacity. My father and brother had spent 15 years telling people I flunked out. But when they needed credibility for a city vendor application, they used my license number. That is how the betrayal became larger than reputation. The lie was for public image. The license use was for money. Kate Lynn, the city attorney, read the page twice. Nora, did you authorize this? No. Did you ever work for the company after your pregnancy? No. Did you ever provide technical review for them? No. Do you have records that establish your license history and no employment relationship? Yes. Send them tonight. I looked at the clock, 6:39 p.m. Kate, my family is going to contact everyone they know before morning. Let them, she said, records first. That is not a dramatic sentence, but it is one of the most comforting things a lawyer can say. Records first. At 7:12, Ava called. Mom. I'm okay. Channel 9 posted the clip. Kids at school are sending it. Are you okay? Yes, people are being weird but not mean. Mostly they keep saying, your mom is the bridge lady. I closed my eyes for 1 second. I am sorry. Why, you are the bridge lady. I laughed once. It came out tired. Your grandparents are going to try to reach you. They already did. Grandma sent a friend request. Do not accept. I know. I mean it. Mom, I know I am proud of you. I leaned against the trailer wall. For the bridge. For not answering them. That hit harder than the whole day. At 7:40, I drove home to get my license records, old employment files, college transcript, and the 2012 capstone binder. I had kept it in a plastic tote under my bed with Ava's baby hospital bracelet, Grandma June's letters, and the orange hard hat. The binder smelled like dust. Page 43 held the original bearing pocket repair diagram. Full title block. Nora Vance, Senior Design Project, State University Civil Engineering, May 2012. The copied Vance appendix had cropped off the title block, but left my initials in the corner. People who steal from records often think cropping is the same as erasing. It is not. At 8:16, my mother knocked on my front door. Ava was upstairs. I had told her not to come down. I opened the inner door, but left the storm door locked. My mother stood on the porch in her dinner clothes, pearls still on, mascara streaked under one eye. Nora, she said, please. You cannot be here. I did not know. You knew enough to repeat a lie for 15 years. We thought you left school. No, you said I left school. Those are different. My father came up the walkway behind her. Open the door, he said. No. We are your parents. You are trespassing. He looked shocked. That almost made me laugh. Do not talk to me like I am one of your contractors, he said. Do not come to my house like you are entitled to enter. My mother's voice broke. We saw you on television. Why would you let us find out like that? I did not arrange your dinner, seating around Channel 9. Nora, you told people I was a dropout. You told them Ava ruined me. You let my daughter grow up as a rumor in a town where half my family lives. We made mistakes. No, a mistake is writing the wrong date on a form. This was a 15-year policy. My father stepped closer to the door. This family does not turn a work issue into a public scene. There it was again. Your company used my license number on a city vendor application. His face changed. Not much, but enough. My mother looked at him. What? He said, that is company paperwork. Trevor handles details. My state license is not a detail. We can discuss it inside. We cannot. Nora, think about what this will do to your brother. I thought about 38 children on a bus. Trevor would never put children at risk. Then the records will show that. He hated that answer. People who depend on pressure hate neutral process. It does not give them anything to grab. You owe this family privacy, he said. I owed the city a closed bridge. My mother started crying. Can I meet Ava? No. Please, I am her grandmother. You called her a problem before she had a birth certificate. She put her hand over her mouth. I was scared. So was I. Neither of them had an answer. I said, leave. If you contact Ava, come to my workplace, or show up here again, I will document it and send it to Kate Lynn. My father stared at me through the glass. You would put your own parents in a legal file. You put my license number in one. He stepped back first. My mother followed. After they left, Ava came downstairs. Did they go? Yes. Are you okay? Not really. She sat beside me on the stairs. Did Grandma really call me a problem? I had never told her that exact sentence. I had told her enough to understand the boundary, but not every word. Some words feel like broken glass. You do not hand them to your child unless you have to. Yes, I said. Ava nodded slowly. Then she does not get to be Grandma. That is your choice. I know. I sent the license records, transcript, capstone scan, old family screenshots, and no employment statement to Kate at 9:28 p.m. At 10:03, Aaron Pike sent a notarized statement confirming his stamp had been used without authorization. At 10:41, Priya sent preliminary lab findings showing poor bonding and inadequate surface preparation. At 11:16, St. Agnes Transportation sent bus route records proving the first bus would have crossed at 7:18 if I had not ordered the closure. At 11:52, Simone from Channel 9 emailed Aaron a question for the next day. Did the contractor who repaired Maple Street also list the city's acting chief bridge engineer as a consultant in previous filings? Public records move in daylight, but reporters move at night. If you want to see how quiet records can undo a loud family lie, share this story and subscribe before I tell you what the transcript showed. The transcript came at 8:07 the next morning. Mona had pulled the vendor interview recording from 9 months earlier. Vance Concrete's application had been reviewed by procurement, public works, and an outside panel. Trevor and my father attended. On the recording, a procurement analyst asked, "Can you clarify Nora Vance's role? Her license is listed as consultant reviewer." My father's voice answered, "Nora grew up in our company. She is family. She is not involved day to day, but we have access to her technical background when needed." Trevor added, "She went through engineering school before choosing a different life. We keep her old design materials in-house. It is family knowledge." Family knowledge. That was what they called my degree when they wanted money. That was what they called my labor when they wanted credibility. That was what they called my life when they wanted to use it without admitting I had built it. Kate called me 5 minutes after I listened. "This is going to council emergency review at 2:00, she said. "You will be asked to testify to technical facts and license authorization. Dr. Acaffer will testify independently. Aaron Pike by video. Priya from the lab, St. Agnes Transportation. Procurement. Vance Concrete will be invited. My parents. Your father and brother, yes. Your mother if she attends as company admin." My mother had been doing invoices for Vance Concrete since I was a child. Channel 9. Public meeting. They will be there. I looked at my kitchen table. Ava's physics notes were still on one side, my capstone binder on the other. For 15 years, I had avoided the witness room. I had let the lie live because my real life was busy and my peace was worth more than a correction. But when the lie reached a bridge file, peace stopped being the issue. At 1:43 p.m., I walked into Council Chamber 2B with Dale on my left and Kate on my right. There were 27 people in the room. I counted because counting helps me stay calm. City manager, procurement director, 2 council members, Risk Manager, Public Works, Dr. Akheffer, Priya, Phil, Aaron Pike on a monitor, Simone Grant and a camera operator along the wall. The St. Agnes Transportation Supervisor, Trevor, my father, my mother, Trevor's lawyer. 3 Vance Concrete employees. Ava was not there. She was at school where she belonged. My father did not look at me. Trevor did. He looked angry in the old way, like I had taken something that belonged to him by standing in a room with my own name. The city manager opened the meeting. This emergency review concerns the Maple Street overpass closure, the Monday repair performed by Vance Concrete and Restoration, the Wednesday safety memorandum, and vendor qualification records. We will proceed through documents. Documents. Not feelings. Not family. Not reputation. Documents. Phil testified first. He showed the overnight strain readings, the crack photos, the closure timeline, and the bus reroute call. He kept his voice plain. At 6:44 a.m., Engineer Vance ordered full closure. Based on readings and visible cracking, I agreed. The St. Agnes supervisor testified next. Bus 14 would have crossed Maple Street at approximately 7:18 a.m. with 38 students. We received reroute notice at 6:39 and changed route before pickup. My mother closed her eyes. Priya showed the core photos. The sample shows poor substrate preparation and lack of bond. In my opinion, the patch concealed the bearing condition rather than correcting it. Trevor whispered something to his lawyer. Then Aaron appeared on the screen. I did not inspect Maple Street. I did not authorize use of my seal on the Wednesday memorandum. I was out of state. My digital stamp image appears to have been applied without my approval. The procurement director displayed the PDF metadata. Author, T. Vance. Trevor's face went red. Then Dr. Akheffer testified. The closure decision was technically correct. The bridge should not have remained open under normal traffic. Temporary shoring is required. The emergency patch did not meet the standard represented in the vendor memorandum. Council member Alvarez asked, Engineer Akheffer, was engineer Nora Vance's family connection a factor in your opinion? No, the crack does not know who owns the contractor. That sentence traveled around the room like a clean blade. Then Kate called me. I stood, placed my right hand on the table beside my binder, and gave my timeline. I stated my position, my license number, my recusal from Vance vendor selection, my closure order, my technical basis, my lack of relationship with Vance Concrete. Kate put the vendor application on the screen. Nora Vance, PE consultant reviewer. Engineer Vance, did you authorize Vance Concrete to list you as a consultant reviewer? No. Have you ever reviewed Vance Concrete repair plans as an employee, contractor, or informal consultant? No. Did you provide your license number for this application? No. Did you provide your 2012 senior capstone design for their technical appendix? No. She put my original capstone page beside the cropped appendix. Same diagram, same callouts, same initials. My mother started crying silently. My father stared at the screen. Kate played the vendor interview clip. My father's voice filled Council Chamber 2B. Nora grew up in our company. She is family. She is not involved day to day, but we have access to her technical background when needed. Then Trevor's voice. She went through engineering school before choosing a different life. We keep her old design materials in-house. It is family knowledge. Kate stopped the recording. Engineer Vance, is that statement accurate? No. What was your relationship with Vance Concrete at that time? None. Did you leave engineering? For the first time all day, I looked at my parents. My father still would not meet my eyes. My mother did. No, I said. I graduated in 2012, earned my engineer in training certification in 2013, worked under licensed bridge engineers for 6 years, passed the professional engineer exam in 2019, and have worked for the City Bridge Division since 2021. Kate nodded. One final question. Did having your daughter cause you to abandon your education? Trevor's lawyer objected before she finished. Kate said, the vendor interview and family's public explanation for Ms. Vance's supposed lack of current involvement are part of the contractor's credibility representation. The city manager allowed it. I answered, no, having my daughter made finishing harder. It did not make me stop. The room went very quiet. I did not cry. I did not raise my voice. I did not say my parents were cruel. I did not need to. My transcript was on the screen. My license record was on the screen. My closure order was on the screen. The bus reroute time was on the screen. Records first. Trevor's lawyer tried to argue that the license listing was a misunderstanding. The capstone page was legacy family material, and the stamp issue was an internal administrative error. Then Mona, the records clerk, raised one finger. There is an email chain. Everyone turned. Mona looked apologetic, but not sorry. It came in through the public records search during testimony. It was attached to the vendor renewal packet from February. Kate opened it. Trevor had emailed my father. Need PE credibility or city won't bump us up list. Use Nora's number. She will never know. If anyone asks, say family materials. My father replied, fine, keep Carol off copy, and do not mention dropout story in writing. My mother's crying stopped. Sometimes the worst proof is not loud. Sometimes it is a line someone typed, because they were sure you would never be in the room where it was read. The city manager recessed for 12 minutes. During the break, my father walked toward me. Kate stepped between us. Mr. Vance, not now. He looked past her at me. Nora, you have to understand. We did not think it would matter. That was the closest he came to confession. My license mattered, I said. You were family. Only when useful. He flinched. My mother stood by the back row, one hand on a chair, looking smaller than I remembered. I believed him, she said. I looked at her. You wanted to. The meeting resumed at 3:41. The decision took 18 minutes. Vance Concrete's emergency contract was terminated. Payment on the Monday patch was frozen pending recovery review. The company was suspended from city vendor work for 5 years, with a debarment hearing scheduled. The forged engineer stamp issue was referred to the state licensing board and county prosecutor. The unauthorized use of my license number was referred to the state engineering board. Temporary shoring was awarded to Harlan and Reed's emergency contractor partner by 4:10. Trevor's face changed with each item. Company suspension. Payment freeze. Licensing board. Prosecutor referral. Debarment hearing. My father sat down before the last one. My mother covered her mouth again. Simone from Channel 9 did not smile. Good reporters rarely do in rooms like that. She just wrote everything down. At 5:02 p.m., the city posted the practical receipt. Maple Street Overpass Emergency Review, closure upheld. Contractor suspended. Temporary shoring authorized. No injuries reported. No injuries reported. Those 3 words were the cleanest line in the whole document. That evening, Channel 9 ran the follow-up. This time, the story was not just traffic. It was contractor fraud, public safety, forged engineering documents, and the city engineer whose own family had spent years saying she never became one. They did not use every personal detail. I would not give them that, but public records are public records, and the vendor interview clip said enough. At Rosewood Grill, people had already been calling my parents. Suppliers. Cousins, church friends, city employees, my father's old clients. The question was simple. Did you know Nora was an engineer? If they said yes, they had lied for 15 years. If they said no, they had ignored their own daughter so completely that strangers knew more than they did. There was no answer that saved them. Trevor called Ava's school the next morning asking to be connected to her counselor. He said it was a family emergency. The receptionist followed policy and called me instead. I sent the call log to Kate. By noon, a no-contact letter went to Trevor, my parents, and Vance Concrete's attorney. It named Ava specifically. It named my home, workplace, school, phone, and email. That was another receipt. Not dramatic, just a clean boundary in writing. My mother left one voicemail before the letter landed. Nora, I need you to know I am sorry. I am sorry for the adoption brochure. I am sorry for saying Ava was a problem. I am sorry for letting everyone think you failed. I thought if I admitted you did it without us, I would have to admit what kind of mother I had been. I listened to that voicemail once. Then I saved it. Not because it fixed anything. Because Ava might ask one day whether her grandmother ever understood. My father's voicemail was different. This has gone too far. Trevor may lose the company. Men worked for us for years. Families depend on that payroll. You need to tell the city this was a misunderstanding. I saved that one too. For the legal file. On Saturday, Ava and I went to Grandma June's storage unit. After she died, I had paid for it because I could not face sorting everything. That weekend, I was ready. In the back, under Christmas tins and old quilt squares, was a cardboard file box with my name on it. Inside were every graduation program I had ever sent her, every newspaper clipping about city infrastructure work, a printed copy of the state license lookup, Ava's kindergarten drawing of me in a hard hat, the orange plastic hard hat wrapped in tissue. There was also a letter. Nora, if you find this after I am gone, know this. I knew you did not drop out. I knew because you sent me proof even when you said you did not need anyone to believe you. I kept it because families sometimes lie louder than truth, and I wanted there to be a box somewhere that remembered correctly. Your girl was never a problem. She was a witness. She saw you become steady. Love. Grandma June. Ava read it twice. Then she put on the orange hard hat. It was too small. It sat crooked on her head. Do I look official? She asked. Very. Can we keep this on your desk? Yes. On Monday, Maple Street was shored by 6:00 a.m. The full repair would take 5 weeks. The city posted daily updates. Harlan and Reed installed monitoring sensors that fed into the city dashboard. Agnes buses stayed on the alternate route until the independent load rating cleared. On Wednesday, the State Engineering Board sent me a letter confirming they had opened an investigation into unauthorized use of my license number. On Friday, the city payroll office issued the temporary acting chief stipend I had never asked about because the bridge had consumed the week. It was $1,840.72 after taxes. I used $200 to buy Ava the graphing calculator she had been saving for. I put the rest into her college account. That was the practical side of survival. Not grand, not cinematic, a corrected title, a formal letter, a paycheck, a safe bridge, a protected child. The following Tuesday, Council Member Alvarez asked me to attend the public reopening of the pedestrian walkway beside Maple Street after the first phase of repair. No speech, I said. No speech, just presence. I went because the crew had done good work and deserved someone from engineering there. Channel 9 came again, but this time I stayed behind the barricade with Phil and Priya while Dale answered questions. A group of St. Agnes students walked across the temporary pedestrian path with their teacher. One boy pointed at me and whispered, "That's the bridge lady." Ava was beside me because her school had a half day. She whispered back, "Yes, she is." I looked at her. "What?" "I like it." "Bridge lady." "No, that people know what you really are." That night, my cousin Bate sent me the Easter photo from 2011. The one where my parents stood in the center with Trevor, and the cousins, and the empty space where Ava and I should have been. Under it, Bate wrote, "I am sorry I believed them." I did not know what to say for a while. Then I wrote back, "I believe you are sorry. That does not mean we are close. It means the record is corrected." She replied, "Fair." I appreciated that one word more than a long apology. Over the next month, consequences kept landing. Vance Concrete lost 2 private jobs after the city's suspension became public. Aaron Pike filed his own board complaint. Trevor's project manager admitted the repair was rushed because a different crew had been pulled to a private warehouse job for a bigger client. My father's email about keeping my mother off copy became part of the prosecutor referral. My mother started attending church in a different parish. My father stopped going to the supplier breakfast he had attended every Friday for 22 years. Trevor posted once online about family betrayal and cancel culture. It stayed up 18 minutes, then his lawyer must have called. I did not respond. The city did not need my outrage. It had the packet. At home, Ava and I made a new rule. No family messages after dinner. If a new number contacted either of us, we screenshot it, sent it to Kate if needed, blocked it, and went back to whatever we were doing. Mostly, we were doing normal things. Laundry, physics homework, grocery lists, rice in the cooker, bridge drawings on my laptop, college brochures spread across the couch because Ava was suddenly interested in engineering schools. "You do not have to do this because of me," I told her. "I know. You can be anything." "I know. Engineering is a lot of math and public meetings." "I like math. I can tolerate meetings." That is the most engineer answer you could have given. She grinned. 2 weeks after the hearing, I received the official amended city vendor record. It removed my name from Vance Concrete's application history and flagged the prior submission as false. It was dry, bureaucratic, and perfect. Corrective record notice. Unauthorized consultant listing removed. I printed it and placed it in the same binder as Grandma June's letter, my license certificate, the bridge closure order, and the no-contact letter. That binder is not revenge. It is a boundary with page numbers. My parents still want a meeting. My mother wants to apologize to Ava in person. My father wants to explain the company pressure. Trevor wants me to clarify that he never meant to endanger anyone. I am not meeting them. Not now. Maybe not ever. Forgiveness, if it comes, will not be a door code. It will not give them access to my daughter, my house, my work, or the life they treated as an embarrassing rumor until Channel 9 made it useful to acknowledge. The city bridge does not reopen because the contractor feels bad. It reopens when the repair passes inspection. People are not that different. On the day Maple Street fully reopened, 5 weeks after the closure, I stood under the bridge with Phil at 6:20 a.m. The new bearing plate was clean. The grout had bonded correctly. The sensors were flat. The load rating was signed by Harlan and Reed and accepted by the city. At 7:18, the St. Agnes bus crossed Maple Street for the first time since the closure. I watched it roll over the span. No wrong sound. No strained spike. No police tape. Just a bus crossing a bridge that had been made safe because records beat pressure. Phil handed me the final acceptance packet. "For your binder," he said. "For the city file." "Sure," he said, "and your binder." I took it. That evening, Ava placed Grandma June's orange hard hat on my desk, next to the final acceptance letter. It was tiny and scratched, with her kindergarten sticker still on the side. "Practical receipt," she said, tapping the letter. "Emotional receipt," she said, tapping the hard hat. I stared at her. You watch too many of my public meetings. I learn from the best. Sometimes I think about my mother at Rosewood Grill, watching my face appear on the screen with the title she had spent years saying I never earned. Sometimes I think about my father hearing his own vendor interview played in Council Chamber 2B, realizing his words were not private just because he had said them confidently. Sometimes I think about Trevor seeing my capstone page beside his cropped appendix and understanding too late that the sister he called a dropout had kept better records than he had. But mostly, I think about the bus. 38 kids crossing a safe bridge at 7:18 a.m. My daughter standing in my office with a plastic hard hat that says she was never a problem. My grandmother's box, remembering correctly when the family chose not to. That is the ending I trust. Not an apology, not a family dinner, not a photo where they try to squeeze us back into the empty space they made and call it healing. My name is Nora Vance. I am a licensed professional engineer. I am the acting chief bridge engineer for this city. I am Ava's mother. I finished school with a baby on my hip, a night job on my schedule, and a family life following me through town. They said I dropped out. The state license board says I did not. The city record says I did not. The bridge closure order says I did not. The final acceptance packet says I did not. And every morning when traffic crosses Maple Street without a sound, the truth holds.